Welcome back to HQ Infinite Stories, where every story takes you on an emotional ride through love, pain, and the moments that change lives forever. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an inspiring story again. Now, let's dive into today's story. It's broken. I can feel it, she gasped. The rancher touched her leg and was stunned. The sun was setting behind the rolling hills of the Montana ranchlands, painting the sky in shades of fire and gold. The wind carried the smell of dry hay leather and earth, the scent of hard work and honesty. Eli Matthews, a quiet rancher in his early 30s, wiped the sweat from his brow as he tightened the saddle on his horse, Shadow. His day had been long, repairing fences, tending to the cattle, and checking the pasture before nightfall. But something about this evening felt different. He couldn't explain why, just an uneasy pull in his gut. Like something was about to happen. As he mounted his horse and rode down toward the creek, he noticed tire tracks cutting through the soft dirt near the old trail, tracks that didn't belong there. Few people came this way, and certainly not this late. He frowned, following the trail. A few yards ahead, his heart jolted when he saw a small SUV half-tilted in the ditch. The front wheel was jammed against a rock, and the driver's door was open. "Hello?" he called out, dismounting his horse. "Anyone here?" A faint sound answered, a soft groan. He hurried closer, his boots crunching against gravel. On the ground, a woman was lying beside the car, one leg twisted awkwardly beneath her. Her long blonde hair was tangled, and dust streaked her pale face. "Oh, thank God," she whispered weakly when she saw him. I tried to move, but it hurt so bad." Eli crouched beside her, his eyes scanning her body. She looked like she was in her late 20s, dressed in business clothes, completely out of place in the rugged countryside. "I'm Eli," he said calmly, his voice deep but reassuring. "Don't move. You've been hurt." Her breathing quickened and she clutched at his arm. "It's broken," she gasped. "I can feel it, my leg. It's broken." Eli's chest tightened. He carefully placed his hand near her shin, feeling for swelling or fractures. The moment his fingers brushed against her leg, she winced and let out a cry of pain. "Yeah," he said softly, his jaw tightening. "You're right. It's bad." She bit her lip, trying not to cry. I was heading to Helena. The GPS sent me this way. I hit a rock and the car flipped." Don't talk," Eli said. "You're safe now. I'll get you help." He grabbed his phone, but there was no signal, not even a single bar. The mountains here swallowed every bit of reception. "Of course," he muttered. "All right, we'll have to get you back to my ranch. It's about 2 miles from here." Her eyes widened in panic. "I can't move." "I know," Eli said, already working out the plan. "I'll make a splint, then carry you to the horse. We'll take it slow." He ran to his saddlebag, pulled out 2 wooden fence stakes, and tore off his flannel shirt, ripping it into strips. Working with precision, he gently stabilized her leg, murmuring to keep her calm. She flinched at every touch, but there was something about his voice, steady, deep and caring, that made her trust him. "What's your name?" he asked as he worked. "Claire," she whispered. "Claire Benson." "Well, Claire, you picked a bad night for a road trip," he said with a faint smile. Trying to lighten the tension. Despite her pain, she let out a weak laugh. "Tell me about it." Once her leg was secure, Eli carefully lifted her into his arms. She gasped as pain shot through her, clutching at his shirt. "I've got you," he said firmly. "Just hold on." He hoisted her onto Shadow, positioning her in front of him so she could lean against his chest. Her head rested against his shoulder as he guided the horse slowly across the open fields toward the faint lights of his ranch house. The ride was quiet except for the rhythmic clop of hooves and Claire's soft, pained breaths. Eli could feel her trembling. The night air had grown cold, so he pulled his jacket around her, wrapping her safely in warmth. "You're gonna be all right," he murmured. "We'll get that leg looked at soon." She tilted her head slightly, glancing up at him through tired eyes. "Why are you helping me?" Eli chuckled softly. "Out here, we take care of whoever crosses our path." Doesn't matter who they are. When they finally reached the ranch, Eli carried her inside his small but cozy home. The fireplace glowed faintly, filling the room with soft amber light. He laid her on the couch, his brow furrowed as he examined her leg again. He gently removed her torn shoe and winced at the sight. Her ankle was swollen and bruised, and her shin bore a deep gash. "This looks worse than I thought," he muttered. Claire gritted her teeth. "Can you fix it?" "I'm no doctor," Eli replied, "but I've dealt with a few broken bones before. I'll get you stable until the morning when I can take you into town." She nodded, her face pale with exhaustion. Eli worked carefully, cleaning the wound, rewrapping the splint and keeping her talking so she wouldn't drift into shock. He learned she was a real estate consultant from the city, on her way to meet a client about buying old farmland nearby. She admitted she'd never even been on a ranch before. Eli smiled. "Well, you're getting the full experience now, dirt, dust, and a broken leg." She managed a small laugh, her eyes glistening with tears. "Not exactly how I imagined my trip." After tending to her injury, Eli brewed her some chamomile tea and wrapped her in a blanket. The warmth and his quiet care eased her trembling. Hours passed. The fire crackled. Outside, coyotes howled under the moonlight. "Eli," she said softly after a while, "thank you for everything." He looked at her from across the room where he sat cleaning his hands. "Don't thank me yet. You'll hate me tomorrow when that leg starts throbbing." She smiled weakly. "Still, you didn't have to stop. Most people would have driven past." Eli's eyes darkened a little. "Lost someone once because folks didn't stop soon enough." The silence that followed said more than words could. Morning came with a pale golden light spilling through the windows. Eli stepped outside to hitch up his truck, planning to drive Claire into town. But when he came back inside, he found her trying and failing to stand. "What do you think you're doing?" He scolded. "I can't just sit here," she said stubbornly. "I have to make that meeting." Her sentence broke off with a cry as her leg buckled beneath her. Eli rushed forward, catching her before she hit the ground. "See?" he said, his tone firm but gentle. "You're not going anywhere." He helped her back onto the couch, but as he did, something unexpected happened. His hand brushed the back of her calf, and he froze there. Beneath her skin, he felt something hard and uneven, not just a fracture. It was metal. "What in the world?" he murmured, frowning. Claire blinked at him, confused. "What is it?" Eli's voice dropped low. "You've got a metal plate in your leg already?" Her eyes widened. "What? No, that's not possible." Eli looked at her seriously. "You've had surgery before. Long time ago, maybe?" She shook her head, visibly shaken. "I don't remember anything like that." A cold silence filled the room. Then she whispered, "My parents told me I was in an accident as a kid. They said I only had minor injuries." Eli studied her face, realizing the truth was something she'd never known. He said quietly, "Looks like it was worse than they let on." Claire stared at the splint, at the hidden metal beneath her skin, her voice trembling. "All this time, and I never knew." Eli's expression softened. "Sometimes people hide the hardest truths to protect us, but you've got more strength in you than you think." Tears welled in her eyes, not just from pain, but from the flood of forgotten memories. Later that day, Eli finally got her to the nearest town hospital. As doctors examined her leg, they confirmed what he'd felt. An old surgical implant, perfectly healed now fractured again from the new injury. When she turned to thank him before being wheeled away, she caught his hand and whispered, "You didn't just save me. You helped me remember who I am." Eli smiled faintly, tipping his hat. Just doing what anyone decent would do. But Claire knew that wasn't true. There was something about the way he'd looked after her, not out of duty, but out of kindness born from his own scars. Weeks later, when she returned to the ranch on crutches, Eli was out by the barn, fixing a fence post. When he looked up and saw her, his face lit up with a rare smile. "Back so soon?" he teased. "I figured I owed my rescuer a proper thank you," she said, holding up a small box of homemade cookies. He chuckled. "Well, you sure didn't have to break your leg to get my attention." She laughed, her eyes softening. Guess fate wanted me to find this place. And you? The two stood there for a long moment, the wind carrying the scent of hay and hope through the open fields. Sometimes, life breaks us in ways we don't understand, only to lead us somewhere we were meant to be. And for Eli and Claire, what started with pain and fear turned into the beginning of something neither of them saw coming. A story of healing, courage, and unexpected love.